Hey, guys.
Hey, David Moore, Dallas Morning News. Before I ask you a lot about Dak and the connection between Dak and CD, can you talk a little bit about the ability of the guys around that to stay engaged and kind of give examples of how they're comfortable in their roles, kind of picking their spots, knowing they may not get the ball as much as before, but by and large, they seem to be ready when you go to them.
You talking about the rest of the guys?
You have Cooks, Ferguson, Gallup, all, you know.
Yeah, I think it speaks, David, to the type of locker room we have. I speak about the culture in here all the time. Like, these guys truly love and they care about one another, and I think you can see it when we score touchdowns. It doesn't matter who it is. The excitement, the enthusiasm, guys can't get down there fast enough to celebrate. And you know, one of the cool things that we started doing is we started this year. You know, when we score a touchdown, we keep the ball. We've burned through quite a bit of balls, so now we grab a new ball. But like I think I've shared with you guys, you know, we bring those guys up on Friday, the guys that scored the touchdown, and then we have them pick someone that helped them get there. And they sign the football, both of them. We put the ball in, you know, in like basically a safe place where we can see it. And it's really been cool to see the coaches that have been brought up there, the linemen that have been brought up there, you know, and it's just different. Like, you know, I mean, CD might pick Mike Solari one time, and Brandon Cooks might pick Will Harriger one time. And I think, again, it speaks to the special group that we have. It takes all 11 of us on the field, but even more, everybody's involved in getting us in the end zone and getting the ball distributed and all that stuff. And so there's a selflessness about this group. And more importantly than that, there's a special bond between, you know, not just the players, but the coaches and the players as well. And it's a true brotherhood. It's true love, and it's real. And I can honestly say, 23 plus years in the league, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where it's that strong and tangible.
And I assume too, I guess, how Dak and CD treat everyone else in that, it kind of flows from that as well, right? I mean, if the other guys got the impression, well, they're kind of setting themselves apart, you wouldn't have that sort of temptation.
Yeah, I think, you know, again, we've never had to worry about that, you know, because the ball does get spread around. Again, you know, you tend to always talk about a guy like CD when you throw him 13 balls and he catches 13, but I'll point out that Jake Ferguson, I think, had 6 targets and 6 catches. You know, so again, those guys share, they share the love, they share the wealth, they share the, you know, the enthusiasm for, again, thanking the linemen. Again, you know, somebody will get to it, but I thought, you know, the young lineman that stepped up yesterday, I mean, more than likely one of the 5 balls that we'll bring up next week, they'll be getting a nod to come up there. So I hope TJ and Brock are ready. But it's just, again, this is a really special group, and I would not be being authentic if I didn't continue to point that out.
Brian Schottenheimer with ESPN. Where did that Friday idea come from? Have you guys done that in other spots?
Yeah, it's something that we just kind of thought about. The defense started doing it a couple different places. I've been. DQ's done it here before. What we added to it was picking someone else. Kind of came from a brainstorm session we had as an offensive staff. Ryan Feeder was very instrumental in just kind of throwing out some ideas. And you know, I really think ultimately it was kind of his thought about what if we have, because if you think about it, linemen don't score many touchdowns, but they're always involved. And so it's one of our favorite days of the week. We have fun with it. And again, I think the players really appreciate when their teammates call them up there and want to get them recognized. And we give them pictures that go along that we kind of, you know, hang up in the rooms and stuff. So it's really been cool. So I have never done it before, but I promise you, you know, just moving forward, it's something that has been very impactful for me, watching these guys celebrate one another and saying, hey, you helped me get there. I want you to be recognized for this touchdown as well. And the cool thing for us, it's filling up. It's about time to get another one, which is good. I think this 5 from yesterday might put us over the top. So we'll see what Friday looks like.
What was the coolest guy to call up? Like you wouldn't have thought of that this guy recognized that guy in that moment?
Probably Brandon Cooks, bringing up Will Harriger. Will is one of our QCs. He's been one of my right-hand guys going back to my time in Seattle. And Will kind of had a really cool design for a play that he was really pushing for. It was actually against Washington in game 1, a little double move that Brandon caught, touchdown on. And those two had been talking about some of those things. And I know it caught me by surprise that he did it, but Will was just blown away. And here's a guy that works incredibly hard. I mean, he's here later than almost anybody, just trying to come up with ideas and plays and draws all the passes and all that stuff. And so for Brandon to recognize Will, everybody calls him ball game, for him to recognize him, it just shows you that each and every person in that room has value and tremendous value. And we're all a part of our success. But the cool thing is we all know we're just getting started.
Brian Schottenheimer of The Athletic. With Dak, we've talked about his leadership a lot. Obviously, the scrutiny he goes through, playoffs, everything gets heightened. How do you see the way that he's able to block out all the noise, the negative noise? And he even talks about blocking out the positive noise. Just how does he block it all out and stay so focused?
I just see a guy, head down, nose in his playbook, studying, watching film, asking questions. We have a big thing we're up there installing. Like, we like meetings to be very interactive. So we give guys bullet points. We'll give guys 3 to 4 bullet points in the red zone or third down, a run game, blitz pickup, stuff like that. And then when the meeting's getting ready to get over, we ask a couple different guys, hey, give me one of the bullet points. And so, again, make it very interactive. But the one guy that I know for a fact is writing down every single bullet point is Dak Prescott. And he doesn't change. His routine is the same. Those things seem like a little thing, but whether we're winning, we're losing, whether he throws 4 touchdowns or whether he throws an interception, it doesn't change. Just the consistency of his preparation, the consistency of his energy, the consistency of his messaging is just elite. And there's no two ways about it. The guy's a phenomenal competitor. Phenomenal. The interception yesterday, they kind of got us on a little, pick stunt, and they picked the guard, and the guy looped around and tipped it. And anytime you're playing a team that plays cover 4, there's usually floaters, and the floater was the guy that kind of got it. And again, he didn't. There was no panic. You're like, yeah, hey, but tough break happens. So the work ethic, the drive, and then just the ability to be authentic to who he is, his personality, his upbringing. Wish I got a chance to meet his mom. She must have been just an amazing light in his life, and he's a special, special guy.
Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. When you look at CD's season now that it's 17 games, it's done. Do you look at that San Francisco game as kind of a turning point in not only for him and his production, but the offense in general?
No, I don't think so. I think the season's long. The season's a grind, and there's times where you're going to play well. There's times you're going to get knocked down. There's times you're going to struggle. There's times you're going to have unbelievable success. And the biggest thing is never change. Never take it for granted. Never stop working. I've talked in here a lot about his work ethic. The intentionality of it, I think, was raised a little bit after San Francisco. That's maybe where the question comes from. But this is a very humbling game. And CD's been around it, and played at a high level for a long time. But some of the things that he's doing would not be happening without his work ethic, without his football instincts, without his relationship with Dak. That doesn't go unnoticed. I've always felt there's a me to you factor when you're dealing with quarterbacks and skill players, and what that means is, hey, I'm gonna throw it to you, and I'm gonna throw it wherever I need to, whether you're double covered or not, and you're gonna be able to make the play. Why? Because I trust you. And so I think that's part of it. But also, the guys around him, the receivers that are clearing out a zone and maybe allowing them to work, the offensive line or the backs are picking up blitz pickups. It all goes together. And if we're not doing everything, all 11 guys at once, it's not going to be the way it's been. And so that's where one of the things I'm most proud of is just our play style. Our pace of operation yesterday was just phenomenal. It was really cool to watch us get into a rhythm. It brought me back really to kind of when we went on that 5-game run or whatever, where we were just boom, the calls were coming in fast, and Dak was pressing the tempo, and it was really, really cool to see. And so CeeDee's a huge part of what we do, but at the same time, again, his success just means that there's a lot of other people doing great things around him.
And from your perspective, yesterday with Brock Hoffman, thinking Zach might go, he doesn't end up going.
Yeah.
What's kind of the conversation with Brock whenever he finds out he is going, and how do you think he performed as well?
Brock is, and I'll talk about Brock first, Brock is truly one of those guys that he's always going to be ready. You talk about a guy that loves football. You talk about a guy that plays the game the right way, kind of that enforcer mentality. He's usually the one, if you watch PAT field goal, he's usually the one that's kind of mixing it up with the big guys on the other side just because he loves it. And, there wasn't really much, to talk about. He played center most of the week, so we knew that he would go in there and play well. And tough matchup with Payne. Payne's a really, elite defensive tackle. But the cool thing is to talk to the other players, Dak specifically, and just to hear the confidence and the energy of Brock. When you guys get a chance to visit with those guys, just kind of ask Dak. It's just like he's a believer. He's an encourager. He's let's kick their ass. I mean, that's just the way he's wired. And so I thought he did really, really a great job. And that's part of the game. And TJ's a guy we've talked a lot about. I mean, again, he got all the reps different than Brock, but, we expect these guys when they get a chance to step up and make the play. I think it's a great message that we'll talk to all the players about on Wednesday, is you never know. I mean, here you are 20 minutes, 30 minutes before, we got to turn in the inactives, and all right, Zach's down, next guy up. And so it's a good message reminder for the younger players. You always got to stay ready. Tour going bad.
Michael Irvin. Let me ask the next question.
There you go. He can take the next one.
Garrett put out with CBS Sports. What are your thoughts on Joe Barry's Packers defense? It's an off-coverage zone scheme that went through a rough patch, but kind of bounced back the last few weeks against some non-playoff teams.
Yeah, we're early in the prep, but again, I've competed a lot against Joe. He was in Seattle, or he was in with the Rams when I was in Seattle. I think he's a damn good football coach. They're very multiple. They've played a lot of guys in the back half, which is probably why there's been ebb and flow for them. The front, I've admired Kenny Clark for a long time. Rashawn Gary, just a dominant edge rusher. So, again, I think they're one of the youngest teams, I believe, in the league, and you see them coming in with a lot of swagger and a lot of different packages, and we'll have to play well. And they'll throw a lot of different things at us, and so our preparation and our plan will be we have to communicate well, but we have to really, truly focus on us and our execution.
Dave Laufenberg, Cowboys Radio. I do have a question, and I say this tongue-in-cheek, but wouldn't it behoove the receivers after they scored to thank Dak? So make sure that keeps coming back to him.
Yes, I would think that they should definitely do that. Well, no. I think the first 2 or 3 times we did it, it was kind of like, yeah, let's bring Dak up here. And I think Dak was honestly a little bit embarrassed. Like, hey, guys, hey, I'm good. So, but it kind of became where they really realized and understood that, hey, this is about the guys. Tyron's been up there a couple times. Tyler Biotic has been called up there. Maybe it was a block. I think when Brandon Cooks caught the touchdown against the Chargers, going way back, Tony had to bring a cross key to pick up a blitzer coming off the edge. I think it might have been the safety coming off the edge. He got called up. So they begin to recognize that, again, hey, this guy really helped me get there. Or throughout the week, this guy helped me in the preparation process.
And Brandon Cook's last 3 weeks, I think, low red zone, corner, touchdown. Number one, you have to put that down once. Right? You're like, okay, they're going to cover it eventually. And what makes him so good down there on that route? Because he's just kind of killed it.
Well, I think his speed, number one. It was a cover zero. They were all out blitz. They came after us. I thought Dak did a really good job of adjusting a couple things. But, if you look at it, Fergie's split was a little bit too tight, so he didn't really give Brandon as much room as Brandon was used to. But there's a patience in Brandon's route running, and usually for a guy that's explosive speed guy, a little bit of a short strider, sometimes those guys get sped up. But if you watch him, the rule is we want to get him to step into the end zone You've thrown plenty of corner routes in your life, and so I think his patience and understanding of the game and not rushing it is what allowed him to beat really the safety in a one-on-one man situation.
Funny, I always think patience is one of the most valuable things for a receiver. Would you agree? I mean, you got to do all the other things. You got to run.
Without a doubt, because again, everything that we talk about is teaching them to understand our time clock as the quarterback, and there's certain things we can do at the setup, whether we hang on our back foot, we hitch, whatever you want to call it, but they have to understand how it all ties together, whether it's off coverage, press coverage, bail coverage, cloud coverage, all those different things. So yes, I think patience is a learned skill that most veterans begin to get a feel for. It's going to be a great infomercial. I mean, yeah. I'm getting jacked up just talking to you guys about it. Yeah.
Appreciate your concentration.
Yeah, how about that? It's crowd noise, huh? A little crowd noise? Love that.
Brian, how would you best describe the relationship Dak and Mike have?
I think it's a special relationship because let's be honest, in any organization, the head coach, the quarterback, and then the play caller, really in that order, they take the most criticism. Mike wearing two of those hats and having both guys having been through some unbelievable successes. I mean, Mike winning a Super Bowl, Dak just having some amazing years. I think there's a respect and appreciation that comes from having to wear those hats and from their experiences. And they're both just great guys. They both love their families. They both love football. They both love the process. There's not many QB meetings, that Mike's not in, and as the head coach of Dallas Cowboys, you wear a lot of hats. And so it's important for him to be in there. But this relationship obviously started years ago. But when Mike took over the different role, I think it made them be even more intentional about their relationship. And there's great trust. There's obviously tough conversations. That's part of the process. We always don't agree with things the same way, but we talk it out, we come to a conclusion, and then we move forward. But it really is it's cool for me to watch those two guys just interact. And I get to do both because I get to interact with Mike during the week with all the coaching meetings, and then with Dak certainly in the meetings. And then on game day, I'm in conversation with both. And, I have not many times had to play mediator, because really we see things for the most part the same. And what's the objective? The objective is to go out, play well, and win. And two great guys that get along well because they love football and they love their families. You guys sure I can stay up here all afternoon and just try to drown him out? Or I can bring him in here either way.
Bring him in here.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.